that look something like this about I can't stop sucking in, or I've learned to suck in, and the reason that you can't stop. Alright, I have a lot of questions that look something like this about I can't stop sucking in, or I've learned to suck in, and the reason that you can't stop sucking in is because humans are terrible at don't. You cannot very well don't anything. You need a different do, and so your different do looks like this previous post that I put together. The idea with the 360-degree pattern is that you're moving all the way around from the bottom of your rib cage. So if you're using a 360-degree pattern, your ribs are going to expand outward, but you're not going to be breathing up, because that's happening with your neck and shoulders, and down here is still down, and it's happening from around your rib cage. The key is that you don't want to be all belly, that you want to move it into your sides, and you want to move it into your back, and I have more posts to come for you on this, but that's the idea with the 360. Okay, so for sure more on this one to come also, but this one is kind of similar to the 360 pattern. So a rib flare is when the front of your ribs tilt up like this, so it stays open. It's never closing very well, which means that you're never getting the top of your abs to engage very well, and it keeps all of your abs kind of distended, and it can make it harder to engage all of your abs. But that isn't breathing into your ribs. Breathing into your ribs is going to happen in the side of your ribs and in the back of your ribs. This is, if you're in a rib flare, you're breathing into your belly and not into your ribs, because we want to get it away from all front in a rib flare and more into the sides and into the back. Alright, and then I had quite a few questions on breathing when you're sitting. I've actually been thinking of putting together some posts on this, so I think that's a better way to answer your questions. And I had quite a few questions on breathing when you're running or breathing when you're rowing. So two things I want you to think about if you're doing an activity like running or rowing. So if your breathing is not effective for you, you're either running like this with a big arch in your back, or you're running like this where you have your bum tucked a little bit. And so you want to think about, and the same thing goes for rowing, like you're either rowing like this with a big arch in your back, or you're rowing like this where you're really tucked under. That's the more likely scenario with rowing. But whichever the case, whichever one is you want to try breathing the opposite direction. So if you have an arch in your back, you're not breathing space into your back. So you want to breathe in here, and you want to rotate, okay? And that rotation will keep you from clenching, and the breathing into your back will help you lengthen those muscles that you tend to hold tight. Or if you're the opposite scenario where you're breathing with a lot of tension in the back of your hip or tucked under, then you want to think about breathing lower into that space so that you're encouraging those muscles to lengthen, to not stay clenched, and you want to rotate. Because again, that rotation keeps you from clenching. It makes you shorten on one side and lengthen on the other. And if you can do that in both directions, then you're not clenching, because you're shortening in both directions and you're lengthening in both directions. So you're getting engagement and you're getting lengthening, and therefore you're not clenching.